Business Spotlight, brought to you by Cross Rhythms and Baba Baboon.
I'm Sonya Farrell. This is Business Spotlight in partnership with Cross Rhythms City Radio and Baba Baboon. Joining me in the studio this week, we've got John Lehnert, who's from Get Set Go Travel. Hello, John.
Hey, good afternoon, Sonya. Nice to see you again.
You too. How are you?
I'm very well, very well. Looking forward to the time of year we're in.
Good. Good to hear. Well, thank you for coming into the studio here at Cross Rhythms for Business Spotlight. Get Set Go Travel. Just briefly, it might sound obvious in the name, but what does Get Set Go actually do?
Right, okay. I'm a bit of a dream creator, okay? A lot of people work for maybe 48, 50 weeks of the year, and they look forward to that particular holiday that they've been saving up for a while. So they come to us, they want either a package holiday, or maybe they want something a bit different. So we talk to them, we chat with them, we liaise with them, and we create their perfect holiday.
It sounds like a dream. It really does, especially at the moment, John. But thank you for sharing that. So your experience, I believe you've been in the industry for a long, long time as well, and to do with travel. And I just want to ask, first of all, how have you seen perhaps how the travel industry has changed over the years?
Well, it certainly has changed. We've had a big thing called COVID in the middle of the change, really. But prior to COVID, a lot of people have been, maybe 15 years, 20 years ago, looking for that reliable high street travel agent they used to go to and see and discuss the holidays. And then, of course, IT and technology has come along, and people have maybe thought there's a better way, perhaps a cheaper way to book the holiday. They can maybe research it online, look at it online, and become, all of a sudden, travel agents, which can work, but a lot of the time it can't work.
Mm-hmm. And like you say there, different technologies that have come into play as well over the years, and different ways of perhaps looking to book a holiday. Would you say technology has helped to enhance the travel industry then, or has it been a bit of a hindrance at times?
It hasn't. I think now people, when they sit down, they go online, they are given that much choice. And there was a research done a couple of years ago by one of the industry trade magazines that the average people throughout the world spends over 8 to 9 hours researching a holiday.
Wow.
Now, if you're a self-employed business person, wouldn't you have sort of be better spending your time 8 hours in your business rather than maybe looking at 8 hours, and even after those 8 hours, you have so much choice. Which one do we go for? It's like, for example, going to the gym. You know, after Christmas time, we think we need to go to the gym. And if you go gung-ho into the gym, 3 or 4 weeks later, you may not be seeing any results because you haven't got that professional, that person will take you around, show you how to use the equipment to get the best results from your physique and the results that you're looking for. And that's the same analogy with a travel agent, really. We can help you out to make sure that we have got the experience, we have got the knowledge by various courses that we go on to help you find that perfect holiday if you don't want to be spending the time trawling through the internet.
Yeah, it can get quite overwhelming, can't it, really?
You can indeed, yes, you can indeed. But yes, overall, it gives you an option, but there are so many options there, and the options that you find on the internet aren't them all, because we deal with the trade suppliers as well, who will give you another option, which you perhaps can't find or have access to if you're looking for your own holiday. And
say then you're at the point, you've found the holiday that you want at that particular time.
Yeah.
You know which destination you want to go, your hotel and everything. You know exactly right, that's the one. What other factors are there to consider, though? Apart from thinking, I'm going to be on that beach, or I'm going to be in that pool, or I'm going to be touring that city. Okay. What other factors are there to consider when booking a holiday?
Right, there's one big factor, and this is prevalent when you do book online. And I advise anybody who's going to book a holiday, no matter how they book it, whether it's through a reliable, trusted travel agent or whether they book it online, to create a package holiday. Okay, because a lot of people book a holiday and they book separate elements. They'll book a hotel. They'll book a flight. They'll book the car parking at the airport all separately, rather than put it all under the one umbrella. And what happens if one of those elements will happen to fail? For example, you having an evening flight with a particular airline, and the airline at the last minute decides to cancel the flight. and you've already paid for your hotel. Now, the hotel, because they've got your money, they don't necessarily have to give you a refund. They potentially are interested in the fact that you couldn't get there. But because of customer service, you might get a refund, or they might reschedule, then you'll be okay if you can get the next flight. But it is a bit of a hassle. Now, with a travel consultant or a travel agent, whether it be on a high street or a home worker like myself, you're actually getting the whole package, and everything's protected.
Okay.
So there's no danger. And if anything, one element was to go wrong, you don't have to go and find the solution yourself. We'll find the solution. And if you can't have the holiday anymore, you'll get your money back if one of the elements falls down.
Right. It's worth considering then, and bearing, obviously, what you've just shared there in mind. And then, you know, holidays that we've booked over the years, perhaps myself and my husband, or friends and families, there's always this word about insurance. Now, I know people who've maybe gone away and they haven't actually had insurance, and it might sound again like another obvious question. It might do to some listeners, but why is it so important to have insurance, and also making sure that you've got the right one as well? Good
question, and very good point. I like analogies, and I'll use another one in this particular scenario. We all own our own house, and sometimes the value can be up to £350,000, £400,000, even more. Now, what we do automatically, we maybe haven't been burgled, nothing's gone wrong with the house, but we do have house insurance. It's part and parcel. Okay, we do it naturally, and the same thing needs to be applied to your holiday. Okay, the worst case scenario, we think, well, it's £40-50, we paid enough for the holiday, we'll get away with it. Now, if you're on holiday, and if maybe you're on the other side of the world, for example in Thailand, and you become ill, okay, quite seriously ill, who's going to foot that bill? Okay, you actually then find yourself maybe with a 10-20 grand bill that has to be paid, or you're not getting home. And I've seen one or two people, for the sake of spending that £20-30 a head on the travel insurance, it's peace of mind, Sonya. You really have to get it. And the other thing about travel insurance, and the biggest advice I can give you, when you book a holiday, get your travel insurance straight away. Now, people think, well, why? I'm not going for another 3 or 4, maybe 5 or 6 months. But if you especially have booked a hotel package where and a flight package where it is non-refundable, you then, for example, let's say you, I don't know, you're a dancer, you play football, you break your leg, you can't go on holiday. Now, if you thought, well, I'll get my holiday just before I go away, you've already paid maybe £2,000-3,000 for that holiday. If you haven't got your holiday insurance sorted out, that you're not covered. So it's essential you have that travel insurance booked within days of you booking the holiday.
And is the difference... without getting into, I'm not asking you to go into like certain policies or anything like that, but is there different insurances to consider for different types of holidays?
Yes, there is. There is, and I can only speak for the travel insurance that we provide, and I'm sure others will be similar. But there is different travel insurance for different parts of the world. For example, if you go to Europe, there'll be one particular package. You can get a single travel insurance policy. Or if you think you're going to go more than maybe 2-3 holidays a year, you can get an annual policy, which sometimes can be actually a lot more cost effective than having 2 or 3 individual policies. If you then go into maybe further afield, like America, the Caribbean, there'll be another rate of premiums to pay for those particular destinations. So yes, that is relevant and important to take into consideration when you're booking your holiday.
And what about passports then? Because if you're looking again at different destinations, if you are thinking of going, whether it's to Europe or the Caribbean or elsewhere like America, what is the, how does it work with passports? Is there certain different visas, obviously, I'm aware of for certain countries, but again, what do you have to be aware of, and where do you look for this information? Okay,
there's been a lot of information coming out, and we've obviously left the European Union now, so that was 3 or 4 years ago. And the European Union, the Schengen countries, have decided that because we are no longer in Europe, it's been mooted for a while about actually having a visa exemption certificate that we actually need before we can get into Europe. Now, it was going to come about last year, it was going to come out earlier this year, but with latest we've heard, and I think this is pretty much going to be gospel now, from October this year,
right,
any UK passport holders are going to need a visa waiver form. a waiver form. Now it's called the ETIAS. Now that basically stands for European Travel Information and Authorization System. Now that is actually going to be linked to your passport.
Right.
Okay. Now, anybody who has maybe been to Canada or America, it's a very, very similar situation as YESTA. Okay. Now it is, as I say, linked to your passport. It is going to be valid for about 3 years, and the cost is going to be circa, it's rumoured, to about €20.
Right.
So that will be last. But if you change your passport before those 3 years, because the visa is linked to your passport, you'll have to apply again for your new passport.
Right.
So that is very, very relevant. And while we're on the subject of passports, you have to look at when you're having issued a new passport now, you'll see that the start date and your expiry date will be exactly 10 years.
Yep.
Now, there is one or two people still with the old passports. Maybe they have 10 years and 4 months left.
Right.
You really have to look at the passports carefully when you go away, because when you go into the EU and Schengen areas, your passport is only valid 3 months after you're due to come home.
Yep.
So if it goes beyond that, in other words, you look at your start date and there's more than that 3 months, you may not even board the plane.
Right.
Okay. Now, there is little sort of different stipulations for different countries as well. Turkey, for example, which is a popular holiday destination, they want 6 months on the passport.
Wow.
Okay. Now, if you go into the States, as long as your passport is valid for the duration of your trip, again, that's not an issue. But if you go into Turkey, I mentioned Turkey, but other countries that want 6 months include China, Egypt, and Thailand. If you're ever in doubt, just go on the gov.uk site, and that'll give you all information for the particular country that you're going to.
Yeah, and you touched on it there. You know, you might not even get on the plane if you haven't got, whether it's 3 months or 6 months, depending on which country you are travelling to, you know, left on your passport. In your experience, John, I mean, is that something that has happened, or it can happen? Is it often?
I wouldn't say it happens often. It's never happened with any of my clients because, again, as part of the service that we provide, I ask the question. Now, by rights, we're not allowed to talk about government-related issues, but I ask the question for my clients 2 or 3 times, have you checked the validation of your passports? But yes, you hear things on social media. People will get to the airport, and sometimes as far as the gate, and they look at the passport and say, "I'm sorry, we can't travel."
Wow.
And of course, the travel insurance is not going to pay out on that.
So on another question then, on another note, we've talked about passports, insurances, if you've picked that dream, you know, holiday, and even how the travel industry itself has changed over the years. But what about the types or the popularity then of holidays now, which, whether it's in 2025 or even the last few years, has there been a bit of a switch on, you know, how people want to holiday?
Traditionally, yeah. I mean, I've been in travel 8 or 9 years now. And I think anybody who came into travel or was in travel 15, maybe 20 years ago, as long as they had a good knowledge of Europe and the what I call affectionately the fly and flop holidays, your beach holidays. And that's what people from the UK were predominantly tending to have or want. There has been a change now. The world is certainly getting smaller. It's getting more accessible. And people are looking for that different experience. They may want not to spend all their time by the pool or on the beach. They want to educate themselves. They want to have that immersive experience. So they're looking maybe for a tour. They're looking maybe to go see and go on the Inca Trail in Peru. They're maybe looking to go to Jordan and see all the amazing buildings there. They may be looking to go to Thailand to immerse themselves in Thailand and the lovely beaches there. So yes, there has been a change of what people are looking for in the last certain couple of years.
And I'm just going to ask this, John, just elaborating on that as well. So the immersive experience, do you think as well that's perhaps come about because of the way the social media, the different channels, which is, you know, are expanding and very popular? Is it because there's more content being shared perhaps that way, where people are seeing, like you're saying, things are becoming more accessible? People want to see different things?
Social media is a big tool in the travel industry. A lot of people are being influenced, yes, by images. Myself personally, my clients deal with me in a slightly different way from social media. They may have seen something that perks their attention, if you like, from a social media post, and they'll come to me and say, John, what do you know about Borneo? We want to go see the orangutans because we've seen this post on social media. Great, okay, I listen to what they want, and then we can talk about what maybe we can bolt on with that. And it really depends. There's loads of different variables that we can talk about. But yeah, social media is a big tool for any travel agent at the moment and travel consultant, especially running their own business.
So, final question. It might be a twofold question here, actually,
Okay.
John. But if you can just mention, or go back to when you first went abroad in your own travel experiences.
Okay.
First of all, I'd like you to answer that. But then on top of that, can you actually mention what is the most favourite place you've ever travelled to abroad and why?
That's a curveball. I knew you were going to ask that one. Yeah, sort of my favourite place.
When did you first go abroad?
My first go abroad, well, I mean, I was 2 years of age.
Okay.
A lot of people who are listening now at the moment probably will not know that I was actually born in Canada.
Well.
So both my parents have passed now, so they met in Canada. We came back to the UK when I was 6 or 7, and then we lived in the States. So you could say I'm in the right profession. It just took me 40 years to get here. But yeah, so I've been traveling a lot. But since certainly I've become into travel, I've had the opportunities to travel more. And my only regret is I wish I'd come to travel or had the opportunity to come and travel earlier. Favourite destinations, and this is partly because I used to live just south of New York when I was youngster in my 20s or late teens and 20s. Is New York. I absolutely love New York, and people tell me when I talk about the destination, they can hear my passion about the place. I send people to places that maybe the tourists will not know of or want to go to, so they can immerse themselves in the destination. And South Africa.
South Africa?
South Africa, it's a country that has a lot of bad rep, in my opinion. It's a beautiful country, and I think everybody's got to go once. I've been 4 or 5 times now in the last 15 years, and I'm always discovering new places to go. Going on safari, I think, is a must. I find it very hard now to take my granddaughter to a zoo to see animals, behind bars. But yes, I think there's so many different destinations out there waiting for people to explore.
John, thank you so much for coming on Business Spotlight. I hope you've enjoyed it.
It's been a blast. Thank you so much for inviting me.
No, thank you. That's John Lehnert there from Get Set Go Travel here on Business Spotlight with me, Sonya Farrell.
Business Spotlight, shining a light on our local business community. Brought to you by Cross Rhythms and Baba Baboon.